Hi, Mark. It is Tuesday, June the 23rd, 8:45 a.m. Eastern, 12:45 p.m. GMT. US session well underway, and in the latter part of the European session now, let's have a look at the US dollar performance. Starting on the index, and you see a strong index again today, following up from the uptrend, from the demand we've been seeing for US dollars, certainly not giving up anything today at this point. I've got support at 171. I've got resistance at the very high 101.09. However, I have got in my average true range and RSI indicators, and the RSI is sitting at 72, overbought. So don't know how much higher that can go today. Perhaps sellers do step in and we see a bounce down of that area, but certainly strong going into the US session and no sign of sellers as yet. Let's have a look at the majors, starting on the Euro US. And there you see the downtrend continuing, selling euro, buying US dollars, broken below the support which we saw in the middle of March earlier this year. I've got resistance at 114.38 and I've got support at 113.81. Average true range on this pair sits at around 62 pips. We've already had that range completed today, almost 62 pips. Don't know how much more room this downtrend has to go. And also the RSI sitting at 29. Bear in mind that 30 is our oversold level. So again, perhaps a bounce up of this area if there is demand for euro. That would be buying euro, selling US dollar, and then a bounce up of the support level. Perhaps we'll watch and see how that plays out. Pound against the US. Let's get that up. Again, downtrend in place, bounced up yesterday following the resignation of the Prime Minister, but coming back down again today, selling pound, buying US dollar strength again. The average true range in this pair sits at 82 pips. So far today, just over 50 pips, perhaps some room to break lower and test this support level. RSI sitting at 35. Yes, that's close to oversold at 30, but perhaps a bit of room here unless we do see a turnaround from from strong to weak US dollar, and we see buyers of pound, sellers of US look to bounce up off this level. US dollar against the yen, very strong uptrend. Down that little bit today, or more like a doji-like candlestick for now. Sellers did attempt to push lower, not able to maintain. Uptrend in place. Here, the average true range is 67 pips. So far today, around 55 pips, perhaps a little room to the upside. However, the RSI is sitting at 69, 70 being overbought. So we'll see if buyers can add to this. And of course, with US yen, we always have the threat at these levels of Bank of Japan intervening. That would be selling US and buying yen. I've got support at 161.21. I've got resistance at 161.76. Buyers unable so far to break above this resistance level over the past few days. Australian against the US. Strong sell-off today. Selling Australian, buying US, a strong move today. I've got resistance at 69.94 and I've got support at 69.28. The average true range in this pair, 54 already. It's moved 70 pips lower. So again, how much more room is there left for the selling to continue? And the RSI on this pair sitting at 30 again, 30 being oversold. So the downtrend very much in place. How much more it can move, not that sure. Perhaps a bounce up off here if we see a turnaround from strong to weak US dollar. Last of the majors we're going to look at is the US dollar against the Canadian. Very strong. Look at this uptrend. Average true range in this pair, 56 pips. So far today, 35 pips. So it means there is a little bit of a little bit of room perhaps for buyers of US, sellers of Canadian to push that little bit higher. But this is a tough level to break above. You can see over the past 3 days, buyers have got held up at current resistance levels. 141.91 is resistance, just below that 142 level, and I've got supported 141.56. The RSI sitting at a very high number here, 87. 70 being overbought, 87 extremely high. How much higher this can go in terms of average true range, a little bit of room, but in terms of RSI, perhaps it's run its course. And you can see over the past 3 days, as I mentioned, buyers have struggled at this level. If we see a turnaround here from strong to weak US dollar, perhaps sellers do step in. Contributing to the strong run is the fact that Canadians so closely aligned with oil, and oil has come down strongly, and we've seen that, and perhaps adding to this very strong trend. So we're seeing extreme levels being tested here in terms of RSI, resistance and support levels. How much further this US dollar strength can continue through the US session, we will see. If there's going to be a turnaround. It's at these levels we will get a bounce either up off support or down off resistance. Good trading, and I'll see you at the end of that.